Welcome back to the Independence. Tonight's show is all about the American healthcare system and why it is on life support. It only seems right to have a couple of doctors on the panel. And tonight, our bone saws in residence are Dr. Elizabeth Rosenthal. She's a dermatologist, and she's glorious. And Dr. Stephen Reisman. He's director of the New York Cardiac Diagnostic Center. Dr. Reisman, every time I breathe in, it catches, and when I run, my heart beats faster. Is that normal?
Yeah, I mean, if you're if you're in good shape or not. If you're in good shape, it'll beat less fast.
Are you saying I'm fat?
I'm saying maybe you need to. No, maybe you need to exercise every day. That's all.
Wow! The gloves are coming off. All right. Well, people are not thrilled with Obamacare. The private insurance market is in total chaos, and there is no solid alternative in sight. Here's the president.
The nation's largest organizations representing doctors and nurses have embraced our plan.
All right, well, doctors I know pretty much hate Obamacare. What have you two found? How will this new healthcare horizon affect the way you perform medicine?
It won't affect the way I perform medicine at all, and I think it's...
Why not? It's not going to change anything. You don't think it's going to change anything you do?
I think more people will have insurance.
Okay.
That's good. And I think the insurance companies will not be able to abuse the patients as badly as they have. But otherwise, it's not going to change. The basic system isn't changing. We're depending still on private health insurance, and we still are going to have millions of people who are uninsured and underinsured. There's going to be fewer uninsured, but there's going to be more underinsured because the insurance that's offered is very skimpy.
Sounds like a bad system.
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, doctor, do you think that's the #1 problem facing our healthcare system? The fact that some people had not traditionally had insurance, certainly under Obamacare, they're supposed to be able to purchase insurance with these subsidies?
There are so many things wrong with our current healthcare system. It's hard to say what the worst thing is, but certainly many people in this country just cannot afford healthcare. They just simply can't afford it. They don't go to the doctor when they need to because they can't afford it.
Is this a prescription to fix healthcare, and how will Obamacare affect the way you perform medicine?
I think Obamacare will affect the way myself and many physicians practice medicine. I think the problem is that a lot of these new health plans, although the premiums are low, the deductibles are very high, and it'll dissuade patients from coming to see the doctor if they have a $5,000 deductible. I think it's a real disaster. I mean, I think it's not the way to go, and I think it's going to hurt the practice of medicine because many people who used to be in a better coverage plan are now going to be on a plan that really requires them to pay out of pocket before insurance covers them, and a lot of them don't even realize what's deductible, what is co-insurance, what's copay, and how all these changes are going to affect their going to the doctor. So I think it's a big problem.
It sounds like bureaucracy. We're going to switch gears just a little bit. The question still remains, what is the role of government in healthcare, and is that totally necessary? Here again is the president.
If you have health insurance, the reform we're proposing will provide you with more security and more stability. It will keep government out of healthcare decisions, giving you the option to keep your insurance if you're happy with it.
That is malarkey nonsense. I had a great insurance plan. I lost it, and far ahead of the January 1st deadline when I lost my insurance, I signed up for insurance, but because the government has thrown healthcare into such total chaos, consumers like me have no way of reaching the insurance company to find out if we're actually covered.
My son had exactly the same problem as you. He had insurance, and he lost it from Obamacare, and now he had a lot of trouble. All three of my sons had a lot of trouble signing up.
Yeah, we don't even know.
Insurance.
So what role, I mean, the government has obviously screwed up the system that maybe it was broken, but at least it was working, and now we have no idea.
Well, first of all, most of the people that this happened to, it's a small percentage of the total population. I agree with Dr. Reisman that Obamacare is not solving the problem, but I don't think it's because of the government. To me, we have to get rid of the private health insurance industry, which makes profit the main purpose, and the only way you can make profit with health insurance is to not deliver care, to avoid sick people, and to only cover healthy people.
But that's not the problem that we actually see. What we actually see, a number of studies have indicated that we actually are over-caring for people, that there's about a third of all of the spending in the healthcare industry is actually going to procedures that don't make people any healthier. We've also seen that there isn't necessarily a clear correlation between having health insurance per se and actually being healthy, as strange as that might sound. In which case, if we're talking about prices and we're talking about access to to care, then mandating that people have insurance or simply trying to get private insurance providers out of the system doesn't actually seem like a solution to the problem that both of you have raised, that it's still way too expensive to see a doctor, and I'd agree with you.
Okay.
But I don't know
Yeah,
if
and cheap insurance has made it far more expensive.
Insurance is a whole extra layer of expense that we don't need.
To go along with this thought, I believe there is truly a medical-industrial complex in this country. It used to be the military-industrial complex.
Right.
We have pharmaceutical companies. Look at all the commercials and all the money that they're spending and making. Look at the hospitals, how much they're charging for a Q-tip. Look at the insurance companies that are taking 20% of every dollar out of the healthcare system.
So doctors are getting hosed as much as consumers.
Doctors are getting hosed as much, and doctors are in the middle. They have a new...
Well, then it does affect you, because Obamacare isn't fixing any of that. I mean, so when I ask you if Obamacare is affecting the way you do medicine, obviously it is.
I believe it
All right,
is.
okay, we have more to get to. Next, if there's a balance to be had between the government and healthcare, there's an even trickier one when it comes to reproduction, birth control, and the business of preventing and making babies in the age of Obamacare. That's next.
This is...
Just to make sure the younger people do sign up, the Obama administration is rolling out a new ad campaign that's targeted specifically at the young and vibrant.
Hi, I'm Alex, and this is my wife, Martha. And we're both approaching the big 6-0.
And we have health care issues to deal with.
Not cheap.
But fortunately, we don't have to pay for it.
No, you do.
That's right. You young people are paying for our drugs and our doctors.
Not to mention our Social Security and our Medicare when we retire to Boca. And you know why?
Because you don't vote.
And we do.
That's right. Hope you enjoyed that Burning Guy Festival.
The Affordable Care Act. Next time, maybe pick up a newspaper.
I love it. Or tune into The Independence, where if you're making babies, we are not the ones to stand in the way of your horizontal mambo. Having said that, the debate over the contraception mandate pits nuns against the state. Obviously, sisters are doing it for themselves, and they don't need outside government influence. But what about the rest of us broads? Is birth control a universal right? If so, if we are so hell-bent on preventing babies, how are we going to halt the slide of depopulation? It is such a good question, and we're going to ask our doctors because healthcare is on life support. Dr. Matt Welch.
Thank you. Yes. I think that I'm totally in favor of contraception, by the way. I think everyone should use it.
Oh, we were on the fence. We really thought that maybe you were the guy that...
Just want to clear that up right away. What makes all this interesting is when the government gets involved in healthcare and intimate decision-making here, you have two sides of the coin. One is contraception, and so you have a lot of Democrats and supporters of Obamacare saying, of course this has to be provided for free or cheap for everybody. But then you have, let's say, Republican Governor Bob McDonnell in Virginia, who for a while, a year and a half ago, was saying that if anyone was going to have an abortion, they need to have a transvaginal exam.
That's a little personal.
It's a little personal, but the point is when you put politicians in a position to affect intimate decisions, either way you're going to offend someone's values, and that's what interests me about the whole debate.
All right, so is it a public good or a personal choice?
Should the government,
pay for it?
Yes, it's part of health care, so I think the government should pay for health care.
I mean, I could say a lot of things are part of health care. I could say my deep conditioner that makes my ends look
I'm talking about necessary health care, something that is necessary.
Well,
I'm not talking about hair transplants and dermabrasion.
It's necessary for me to have cross-training as part of my fitness regime, so the government should pay for my treadmill and my $10,000 bicycle.
The point is, on some of these cases, is that people who actually don't need to have it are being asked to pay for it as part of a cross-subsidy regime, and is that a good idea? And then people who find that it offends their religious sensibilities don't want to have to pay for it. Should they have to be paid for it? Isn't that an act of religious conscience?
Yeah, 2/3 of your life you don't need birth control. Why should you have to pay for it all of your working life?
Because we're all in it together, and I think that there are certain things that are social needs, and if you spread the cost around everybody, it's the best, fairest, and most efficient way to do it.
Well, birth control is really not that expensive.
If you were in an accident and you became paralyzed for life, and we had medicine that had, taxes that paid for medical care, why should I, pay for your accident because you were so careless to have an accident and become paralyzed?
You are so heartless.
I don't believe that. I think I should pay.
Okay, I'm going to ask him, Dr. Reisman, do you think that birth control should be allowed over the counter?
I think birth control should be allowed, freely, that people who want it and need it can have access to it. I think and to answer the question...
why is it still only available by prescription?
Well, like with many medications, you have to really make sure there are no risk factors for developing complications. There are complications with every medicine.
There are complications with aspirin.
And that's why you should seek advice before you take aspirin, because if you have a bleeding tendency, if you're an older person and you have certain bleeding tendencies,
it's still over the counter.
But there's a distinction between seeking advice and actually having a prescription in order to get it. And you're trusted, you're responsible enough to take Tylenol on your own. Matt, I trust you.
I don't trust you. I walked into CVS the other day and I said, I deserve condoms, give them to me now. You know what they told me? Eat a bag of Rex. All right, imagine a world where healthcare is so restrictive, even the best doctors throw up their hands and leave the system for private practice and greener pastures. Is that time now? Are we seeing a mass exodus in medicine? That discussion is vital, and we'll have it. Stat. Oh, Nancy, can't we stop, look, and listen before we cross the street into the brave new world of healthcare?
We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
This is the Quicksilver Cashback card from Capital One. It's not the juggle a bunch of rotating categories card. It's not the sign up for rewards each quarter.